Number of downloads, about I don't know if you have an
Hmm.
idea of how many users you have, but I
Yes,
think you might have a
very roughly, I think now it's like 30,000 per month.
30,000 downloads
Yeah.
per month. Hey everybody, it's Eugene Lisho here, and welcome to Click 3D. This is the program where we talk about all things 3D, photogrammetry, laser scanning, structured light scanners, software, and hardware. Sometimes I even get to interview some really interesting people, and that's in fact what today's episode is about. Now, many of you out there who are working in 3D have heard about a program called CloudCompare. It's an open source program that was developed by Daniel Girardeau-Monteau from France, and it's been used right across the board in many, many different disciplines that are working with 3D data. Now, a lot of people don't know about Daniel, and a lot of people don't know about the origins of CloudCompare. They just know it's this free software that's out there and a whole bunch of people are using it. In fact, Daniel's told me that up to 30,000 downloads a month. So if you think about that and how many people that is over the past, 10, 15 years, that's a ton of users. So what I thought I would do is contact Daniel, see if he'd be willing to do an interview, and in fact, he did. So the following is an interview with Daniel Girardeau-Monteau, who is the author of CloudCompare. He's an extremely brilliant guy, and I think his contribution to the 3D community has been absolutely excellent. So we'll get started with that right away, and hope you enjoy the interview. All right, hey Daniel, hey, thanks so much for being here today. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, I know it's a little late there in France, so hopefully you'll be able to stay awake.
Yep, I'll
All
try.
right. Well, I want to ask you about CloudCompare, but first I want to start with yourself and your background. So,
Hmm.
just way back, like before you began with CloudCompare and everything. But what was your background, and what were you, what were you interested in before you sort of got into university or school?
I've always been interested in computer science. My mother was actually how do you say that? C++
Oh, she was a
teacher.
programmer.
Yeah,
Was she really?
teacher. Yeah, teacher at
Oh,
the university. So she yeah. I learned Pascal and C and C++ at a very early age. So I always liked developing applications. But still, I did a engineering degree in France, and then a PhD. And that's during my PhD that I started CloudCompare.
okay. Where did you study then?
Oh, in France, you mean? In
Yes,
Nancy,
let's
the
see. Yeah.
École des Mines, which is a school of mines,
Okay.
which has nothing to do with mines, actually. Not anymore.
Oh, not anymore. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've moved on since
Yeah.
then. Yeah. So are they fairly well known for programming then, or for computer science?
Not that much, but in Nancy, there's a quite famous lab for computer science, which is
Okay.
named Loria.
Okay. And
And I
then
had the
from university. So when did you work on your PhD in the same place, or where did you
no,
do?
no. Actually, when I was in this lab, I met people at EDF, which is the French power utility. So this is how I moved to Paris to do my PhD with EDF as a backer, founder.
So were they? So what was the concept or the birth idea, let's say, of CloudCompare?
So my PhD, the main topic, the initial topic was emergency mapping. So what can be done, in case of sadly a tragic event around facilities like power plant. So we were trying to merge sensors from drones, UAVs, and also I don't know. Satellite imagery and these kind of things, and then we also EDF was already dealing with lidar, terrestrial lidar scanners. Especially they own the Mency,
Hmm.
which has been sold to Trimble, which is now Trimble laser scanning. So they had a lot of laser scanners and activities around laser scanning. So we had this idea of putting a laser scanner on a UAV or similar things. So we had a lot of data and especially big point clouds. and since it was for emergency mapping, the idea was to compare, data before the event, before the accident, and after. And this is how we naturally came to the need to compare point clouds.
But at the
Dense
time,
point
was there
clouds.
no software that already did that job, or was it difficult to find?
We didn't know any at the time. I think we search, especially raw point clouds, and to try to do 3D comparisons.
Okay. So then who was initially on, like, were you the main, you were like one of the main people or the main person, or was there a small team
I
for
was the only people,
it?
the
Big
only
team.
person. Yeah. So
Yeah.
of course I was working with non-technical person at EDF, and also in a lab in Paris, which is named CloudCompares. That was for the academic backing, of my PhD. So yeah, I was the only developer, and since I was the PhD student, I was the one who was actually doing the yeah
Well, the
work.
main, I mean, CloudCompare today has a lot of different functions or whatever,
Mm.
but what were the primary functions that you were putting into
Mm.
CloudCompare? Because you did, obviously the comparison because of the before
Yep,
and after, but
that
what
was
other
really,
things?
really the first one.
Hmm.
And then, as I said, the EDF was already using scanner lasers a lot. So they had actually activities in many different. For many different applications. Of course, visualization was interesting to them, but interestingly they were also. Um, Sorry. There were two main applications for them. What's named as-built documentation.
Hmm.
So they have to have a very accurate representation of their facilities, especially the nuclear power plants, with a very good accuracy. And they were asked to prove that their CAD models basically were really consistent with the the real physical facilities. So they scanned actually regularly their facilities, and they were comparing the point clouds with the CAD models. So
So
that was also a comparison actually, but
what,
but yeah, it led to another other kind of features like classification and automatic detection of objects.
what year are we talking about when you started, and how
True.
long?
Yeah, good question. I started my PhD in 2003.
Okay. And
So
then
yeah,
how
almost
long
20
did that
years
take
ago.
you? Yeah, how long did it take you?
3 years.
It took 3 years. Okay, so by 2006, let's
Six.
say.
I defended my PhD and CloudCompare at the time. So there was this feature, mostly comparison and everything, and also there were already some things around archaeology because that was the other main application for EDF. They were using laser scanning for cultural heritage. Applications more so that people speak about TDF.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but EDF, so I'm trying to understand. So EDF, I mean, you said they're like a power company, like they're doing.
Yep.
So is it because when they have to excavate they find stuff too, or because I know here
No.
that happens?
No. That's really because it was a huge company, especially in France. But yeah, I think worldwide they wait quite a lot. They have a lot of money, a lot of activities, and a lot of smart people. Like the R&D division, there were 2,000 people,
Oh, really?
so it was big. Yeah, a lot of a lot of skills. Very super specific knowledge and everything. And I think it was by pure chance. So sorry if I speak too much, but
No. That's perfect.
by pure chance, some archaeologists, well-known archaeologists, especially working in Egypt, needed, some kind of ground-penetrating radar capabilities for and other stuff like that. So they asked the EDF because they had this kind of skills and knowledge, and probably because they knew someone. So they worked on in Egypt on a big archaeological study. And there was a TV show that that was made based on what they did in Egypt,
Oh,
and it was such a big kind of big commercial for EDF, but for free,
yeah, sure.
with a big audience and everything, that EDF realized that, hey, this can actually work. People are speaking about us, about the fact that we are super good at what we are doing, and it can, we can be, we can have the TV talking about us for like 45 minutes or an hour. So they really invested in this kind of
Okay.
what's named the EDF Foundation, which helps cultural projects, archaeological projects, and everything.
So let's say the first people outside of EDF were this archaeology team in Egypt, and
Mm.
then after that, was it
So
sort of
it
word
was
of?
people from EDF working with the
Oh, okay,
archaeological team.
people from it.
Yeah,
So
EDF was just providing people and skills and hardware, like
I see.
scanners
Okay.
or everything.
So
So
then,
when I did my PhD, I worked on the archaeological site of Delphi in Greece. So
ah,
yeah, I was lucky enough to to work on a fun project. Yeah.
so when was the decision made to
Mm.
make CloudCompare like either publicly available or
Yep.
online, or was it just people started asking because they found out, or how
Mm.
did that work?
So actually, once again, it's pure luck. I defended my PhD in 2006. Then I was, I stayed, I continued to work with EDF for 1 year because they wanted me to industrialize CloudCompare. Yeah, because it was already, quite big, but they wanted something that their employees could use. I think at the time, yeah, there were a lot of surveyors and people like that. So I think we had around 100 users internally. So basically they paid me to to make CloudCompare a clean project.
Mm.
But then I think in total I was there for 5 years.
Oh,
And I
really?
wanted to go, see somewhere else how it looked like. So I resigned, and at that time they realized that they would lose the main developer of CloudCompare. So they had this idea of making it open source, so that I could continue working on it, even if not in the company anymore. So it took some time for them, for my former colleagues, to convince their managers, basically. And I think in 2009, the project was officially released as an open source project.
Okay, cool.
And at that
So
time, it was really just to let me work on that. So we didn't, make any uh, publicity, or I don't know. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So but you immediately is that when you first set up the website, you put it online and you said,
Yeah.
okay, folks, here you go.
Yeah.
Um, so that would have been, so like you said, was that still 2009?
Yep.
Okay.
Approximately. Yeah.
So at what point after that, because obviously, there may have been some people mildly interested at the beginning, you're getting some interest or whatever, but at what point did you say, holy mackerel, like this thing's getting a
Mm.
lot bigger than I thought? When did it hit you that like this was going to be a big deal?
Uh, Frankly, I don't know, because 2009. It's yeah, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a kind of steady progress. People, more and more people asking me about, yeah, adding new features, fixing the bugs.
Hmm.
So I realized, but in a very slow way, that more and more people were using CloudCompare. I think the first time I really thought, okay, that's going to be really interesting, is when I was invited in Mexico for a workshop, the Point Cloud workshop. I think it was in 2014. And then, the fact that people wanted to invite me and
Hmm.
paying me my my plane ticket and everything, just to speak about CloudCompare. Yeah, I thought that, yeah, it became something really interesting for them and for me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we had you. Where did we have you? Was it Orlando that we had you? I'm trying to remember
Mm.
where you came to
Yep,
the IFSM conference.
exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah, it
think
was
it was
Orlando.
the
That's
the
right.
year after or 2 years after. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, that's great. And did you have any accompanying programmers or any other partners, anyone else that
Mm.
helped initially, or was it still primarily you?
Initially, it was only me. There was another PhD student working at EDF, so who started just after I finished. A new PhD student started working at EDF. So he helped definitely a little bit. He developed some additional features.
Okay.
But that sadly after he left, but he didn't continue working on CloudCompare. So
Okay.
it took some time before a small community started to appear on the open source project.
Okay. I've asked you this before a long time ago, but I'll ask it again. But that is number of downloads. I don't know if you have an idea of how many users you have, but I
Yes,
think you might have a
very roughly. I think now it's like 30,000 per month.
30,000 downloads
Yeah,
per month.
yeah, just for the Windows version. Then you have the Mac OS and the Linux versions, and yeah, it's harder to know the exact number, but it's several thousands. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. That's
Mm.
incredible. So, as of today, I mean, and you've been doing other things, right? So obviously you're
Mm.
employed, other things that you've been working on, some really cool stuff. And I guess I'll tell people, I don't know if we can tell people, but I mean, you've been doing some,
Mm.
I guess it's like robotics
Yep,
programming for medical,
for surgery,
yeah,
knee
for surgery.
surgery.
Okay. And that's still, I know you're doing it before, but you're still primarily doing that.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Deep into it, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. So do you have people today that are assisting a little bit with CloudCompare, or is it, I mean,
There's this small community of motivated people, so they are definitely not full time, not professional. I mean, some are professional working, for some small companies or
mm,
kind of things, but some others are PhD students or just passionate people who are doing that on their free time.
I see. And
But it's a small community of developers. A lot of users, as I always say, but yeah, a very small community of developers.
yeah, do you have a sense of the different types of users that you have, like people
Yeah,
working in architecture, how many
yeah,
in
exactly.
other
Yeah.
places? Do you have an idea of that?
I don't have numbers, but I know that the biggest pools or the biggest groups are definitely the archaeologists and also the structural geologists.
Hmm,
Because obviously they are big users of 3D data and scanning and dense photogrammetry. So yeah, that's probably the two biggest communities, and we can also see that with the plugins. We have a lot of interesting plugins for structural geology. So clearly, these two communities. Then you have the more generic, not generic, sorry, the more the broader community of people involved like surveyors or how do you say sorry, remote sensing
remote sensing.
people, yeah, scientists and everything.
Yeah, okay.
And then yeah, you know about forensic
Yeah, yeah, of course.
forensic, this kind of thing. There are a lot of smaller communities then,
Yeah, yeah,
but
for
yes.
sure. Yeah, no, and definitely in forensics. I know, more and more people are starting to use CloudCompare for just combining photogrammetry and laser
Mm.
scanner data. And just, I don't know, sometimes it's just a quick way to just open up and inspect scans, look at their
Clearly, yeah.
properties and look some different things. It just seems to be a very simple way. But I do know, I agree, like there's a lot of other things that I haven't explored or that I've looked at and I'm like, well, it's completely out of my area. So it's something else that's, people are using it for their particular roles or functions. Um, what about companies? I mean, do you get approached every now and then by different companies
Yes.
asking for, hey, can you make it compatible with my format, a file
Hmm.
format, or stuff like that, or building tools, or
Yep. So
yeah,
so so clearly there are a lot of requests from companies. Just a few of them are asking for supporting their format. Generally, it's the other way around. Users are asking us to support a format, then we have to convince manufacturers to open their or to let us access their format. The only exception, and I like to say it, publicly, it's the Regal. They really played the open source game. They are really active. They develop their own filter to import their file format. They are maintaining it, and they are really used to work with researchers. So I think that's why as well. But yeah, I really like this company. I mean, what they did with
Yeah, for
us,
sure.
and also dot product.
The product.
They were also really motivated by that. But that they are really exceptions.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's
The other manufacturers don't like to share their format
is
with
that
us.
Raphael Spring? Raphael Spring?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Raphael. Yeah, okay,
Yep.
yeah.
And Tom Greaves.
Tom Greaves, yeah. Tom
Yep.
Greaves, yeah.
He,
So the current status of CloudCompare, I mean,
mm,
where are you working on anything you can talk about right now, like with CloudCompare, any new
mm.
features or
Yes, so we are actually about to release the 2.12 version, official version. It took us some time to release this version. So I think the last version was more than 1.5 years ago.
Mhm.
But due to COVID and the fact that I'm spending more and more time working on this other project, clearly we are a bit late for the release, but yeah, new features were added along the way at a constant pace. So I think the number of new functions and tools is quite interesting already, and especially the number of new plugins.
Oh, really? Some
Yeah,
new things. Yeah.
and not developed by me by myself or or people already from the community. It's really interesting to see more and more users coming with new plugins and sending them to us like, okay, can you integrate that to the main version? Yep. So it's
What?
probably too long to detail, but yep, there are really interesting plugins, and especially one. We see a trend for classification clearly,
Mm,
and manual classification. That's silly because I mean not silly, but we, initially we started with automatic classification, but it doesn't work that well all the time. So now we can see a kind of small trend for manually classifying point clouds and labeling points
mhm.
and everything. That's interesting.
If somebody's interested in developing like plugins and things like that, what kind of requirements do, or what is it that they need to know?
So they should know C++ mainly, and how to use Qt, which is the framework we use to develop the application. That's fairly standard, I would say, but yeah, definitely C++ is a must.
Okay.
And then we help them as much as we can.
Okay.
And there are a lot of examples already because we have, I think we have at least 15 plugins now in the official version, so you can see the code, duplicate the parts that you are interested in and everything.
Hmm.
And when I see the quality of the plugins that people, I mean, it can be people working in companies, but also PhD students. When I see the quality of the plugins they create, it's pretty impressive.
Well, I've definitely seen some improvements. Even just like one of the tools that I've been using a lot now is, for example, the animation plugin.
Mm.
There was a big jump there in the terms of the
Mm.
quality and the
Oh,
usability there.
by the way, a very nice collaboration with a company named uh, 3G Robotics, I
Is it
think.
2G
2G,
robotics?
2G, yeah, a
Yeah.
Canadian company. I
Yeah.
think they changed their name recently, but yeah, once again, very cool people. Just did that on their own, and then told me, "Hey, here is a new plugin."
Yeah. Hey, in terms
Enjoy.
of learning, I'd like to talk about the Cloud Compare community. I mean, you have a forum,
Yep.
and is that a place that's still relatively active?
Oh yeah, super active. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at my scale. So I think
Yeah.
it's every week 10 to 20 new messages, and I try to answer to all of them. So that's definitely very active. And we also have a GitHub page.
Mhm. Oh yeah, GitHub. Yeah, yeah.
That's really for the developers, but yeah, you can get support and you can report bugs. And internally for the most motivated developers, the ones that are part of this small community of developers, we have a Slack
Hmm.
um, space.
Yeah, just a little chat thing that you guys
Yep.
do in between each other. Yeah,
Yep.
okay, well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, well, I know that there's for those that are going to be interested, there's also a ton of videos on YouTube, and
Oh, yep.
a lot of people now that are doing different features or whatever. I know I'm partly to blame there. There's with some of those videos,
Yep.
some of the early ones, you still have I call them the classics now. They're the
Yes.
old the old classics. Probably need to update them at some time.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
rarely matched in terms of quality and.
Oh my, well, great, thank you. Um, well, look, Daniel, that's pretty good. I would tell people also who are going to be watching this that you do have like a donations page and
Oh,
or a little offer because
mm,
people are spending time, whether it's the developers or people donating time, whatever it might be, to help out. And yeah, for those that are interested and that are finding Cloud Compare very useful, they can just make a donation. And I think that it's just as a nice gesture. I think you buy Daniel dinner.
or
So
BI, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it is a fantastic program. It's a great contribution, I think, to the whole 3D community. Whether it's people are in forensics or architecture or whatever, just a lot of great uses for the software, and I love it. I mean, doing training on it and everything else. It's just there is still a very strong interest and a very strong community with CloudCompare. So anyway, I think you should be very proud, and it's still a great product.
Thank you.
So there you have it, folks. That's Daniel from CloudCompare. I think it was a pretty interesting interview. I really like the fact that he's doing a lot for the 3D community. Really bright guy. Hey, if you have any questions about CloudCompare, you can always just drop a comment down below. Also, CloudCompare is open source and it's freely available, and I'll make sure to include the download link in the comment section below. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time.